Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Carol Brown Andrews, Democratic consultant, and Deborah Maggart, Republican consultant, talking about the final days of election 2020, what's going to happen come this Tuesday when the election is held. Deborah, in this segment, let's begin with you. If this is a bad election nationally and President Trump loses, the GOP loses its Senate majority, what happens to the Republican Party? How does it rebuild? Who becomes their leaders? Do the Never-Trumpers come back and try to take over the party there? There's always a lot of finger pointing that goes on after a party loses the White House and Congress to go with it.
I haven't given that much thought because, again, I'm very optimistic about Tuesday, so I haven't really thought about that. But I don't think the Never-Trumpers would be the people that would be welcomed back to take the party over. I don't see that happening because there has been some bitterness about that within the party. People that have labeled themselves as a Never-Trumper, and they weren't for him in the first place. They weren't with him in the beginning anyway when he first ran. So I had to give that some thought. I haven't really thought about how we regroup, but I do feel like if that happens, I think that the American people won't tolerate very much and for very long what the Biden-Harris administration will bring about, because people are very concerned about this country becoming more socialistic. Bernie, he ought to be mad, really, because he kind of got pushed to the side. Biden got pushed to the front, and yet they're all campaigning together. I think Harris is campaigning with Bernie yesterday and today. So, again, I'm going to go back to Biden being a Trojan horse, and I don't think the American people are going to like it very much.
Carol, I think it's only fair to ask you the same question about the Democrats. If Joe Biden loses, it'll be the second time the party has lost the presidential election. The moderates will appear to be wiped out. With the progressives and the liberals completely taken over, doesn't that further drive the party to the left?
Of course, we're going to have that ultra left wing of our party say, "See, we told you so," twice in a row. So, but I don't see. I just don't envision a huge swing to the left at all. Overall, and especially not among Democrats in moderate to red states. I just don't see that at all, outside of urban areas, of course.
Carol, as a follow-up to you, if that happens in Tennessee, if the Democrats move more to the left, doesn't that make it even more difficult for the Democrats in Tennessee to come back? I mean, they're already super minorities. Would they be even more so that way if the Democrats go further left?
Look, what the supermajority has given us and this presidency is, our rural hospitals are closing at record levels in this state. We're a leader in the nation among that. People are hurting. The rural areas are suffering like mad. I live in a rural area, so I can say that. I can point to it every day. You guys don't see it much in Nashville, but we feel it out here. And what our supermajority focuses on day in, day out are wedge issues. Doesn't create a job, doesn't open up a hospital, doesn't insure one child or one family, and it doesn't do anything to help us better our schools. In fact, they're trying to destroy our schools, our public schools. So I think they need to get back to bread and butter issues. If that's what you think is progressive, Deborah, I'm all for it.
Deborah, it does appear that the number one issue, at least the number one thing competing for the headlines along with the election, is the virus pandemic. President Trump, when he got the disease, seemed to give some credence that it was a pretty serious thing, but now he continues to hold large rallies with very few masks and no social distancing. Isn't he sort of in a situation where he's kind of put himself at odds in that? And given the polling, is that a good idea? The public does not seem to like the idea that he doesn't follow the science.
Well, I want to go back to what Carol said. Tennessee is doing great. People are moving here before the virus, of course. People were moving here in record numbers because we have been recognized time and time again as a wonderful low-tax state that is full of job creation. Businesses are moving here from other states. And we had turned our school systems around where we were doing better with testing. We had gotten ourselves out of being rated a D the National Chamber of Commerce. So I don't agree with that. I think people want to live in Tennessee because we are a low tax state, and we can prove that people want to live here. So to your question about the virus, the president was fast on shutting down the travel from China so people would not continue to bring the virus here. No one knew anything about this virus. The Chinese government would not give us the DNA sampling or whatever it is they needed to figure it out. They withheld that from us. As soon as we could, the government started working on what to do about it. The president was great at getting companies to work together to come up with the vaccine in record time. They're working on that. It's supposed to be ready anytime. So all things being considered, when you look at Biden's plan, he's basically copied everything that the president has done. We have increased testing. That's why we have more cases, and the death rate is down. So I just don't see how the president could have done anything different or anything better than he could have. And we're all going to disagree about that forever because somehow it got turned political, and that's the way it is.
Republican consultant Deborah Maggart and Democrat Carol Brown Andrews is our guest on Inside Politics. Back to continue our conversation these final days of campaign 2020 after this break.